Hey everyone, today I wanted to do a video talking to you about this Palmetto State Armory upper. Now this one specifically is a 10.5 inch upper that came with the key mod handguard. Everything else has been added to it, including the charging handle and the bolt and the muzzle device, obviously. But what I really wanted to test with this is the accuracy. So I'm not going to necessarily be talking to you about reliability or longevity or anything like that. I haven't put nearly enough rounds through this to be able to give you an educated estimate on that. But I did want to talk to you about the accuracy that I was able to get out of it. Hence why I have this 9-power scope sitting on top of it. Obviously, if you have a 10.5 inch barrel, ordinarily you should not put a scope on it. It's just unreasonable for the type of uses you would want an SBR for. There's no reason to put a 9-power scope on it. In my opinion, maybe even 14.5 inches is pushing it, but really anything below that, there's no reason to have a scope on it. That said, I wanted to get the absolute best accuracy I possibly could out of it, so that's why it's there. Also, just a little FYI for the accuracy testing, the trigger I'm using is a part of the Spikes lower parts kit that I have in here. It's just the standard Spikes trigger, which on my trigger scale pulls consistently just under 5 pounds, so a little bit of reference for you there. Now, I shot a bunch of different types of ammo, all at 100 yards, and it was an exceptionally beautiful day, very little wind, so I had a lot of things working in my favor today. So take that into account when I start rolling these targets in. Now, obviously, I'm also going to be showing you footage of me shooting if I haven't started doing that already. But I put a fair number of rounds downrange just to try to get you some really good, solid data points as far as the accuracy on this. So I started out with Wolf Gold. That's what I zeroed it with. Now, keep in mind, the guy who was stapling the targets up out there liked putting staples really close to the paper. So sometimes things that may look like bullet holes are actually from removing the staples. So I shot 3-shot groups. I had these two, and I had one flyer off the top. My estimate, I can't give you an exact number because, again, that was off, and I just had to eyeball it. My guess is that it was about 3 inches total for that group size. This Wolf Gold, again, tightened up a little bit more to around 2¼ inches, and I'll try to put it a little bit clearer down here exactly what the ammo is and the size that I measured it at. But I want to show you in case you want to, measure it yourself for whatever reason. Anyway, so then I went to some PPU XM193. For whatever reason, I had a hard time grouping it. I actually shot a couple times with it, and this was the best I got, and it's strung left to right, so that's probably me, maybe not, but about 3 inches there. Now, another one I shot was the PMC X-Tac 55 grain full metal jacket stuff, which I really like. It shoots really consistently normally for me, but for whatever reason, I found a lot of times today when I was shooting it, I would get two really close together and then one way flyer out there. And it was odd because I felt pretty good about all my trigger pulls. But these two right here are within 1 inch of each other. But then this flyer out here opens the group up to about 4 inches. So kind of disappointing there to see that potentially that could have been a really nice group. But I kept getting those flyers, as you'll see here. Moving on, again, down here I did the PMC 55 grain stuff again, and I'll show you a couple more that I did later. But I'd have two really close together, again, within 1 inch, and then one flyer out there that brought it a little closer to 3 inches. Up here, I was shooting some Norma 55 grain. They say match grade stuff. I don't know. Take it for what it is. This one is about 2 3/4 inches from top to bottom here. Again, that's just from stapling the staples. Again, staples up here, but Norma, this one actually did a little bit better. 2 shots within 1 inch of each other again. The total size was about 1 3/4 based on my measuring. Here in the center, I did some PMC X-Tac 62 grain stuff, which in other guns has shot exceptionally well also. In fact, again, if the Haas USMC has posted his video already that I did for him with a Faxon barrel, that Faxon 18-inch barrel shot PMC 62 grain. I had a group that was a 1/2 inch, and I had a group that was 3/4 inch. So normally shoots really well. This was probably my worst group with this gun at 3 1/8 inches. Down here, I did it again, tightened up considerably. That's about 1.5 inches with those 3 shots right there. Something you may be noticing at this point is the groupings kind of seem all over the place. Obviously, when you start changing bullet loads, whether it be the weight or the velocity or anything like that, it's going to change your point of impact versus your point of aim. So keep that in mind. Here I have 3 shots, again with a 62 grain at 2.5 inches right there. Again, that's from a staple. And then, I tried to go back to the 55 grain X-Tac stuff, and I had the same issue where I'd have 2 semi-close shots. That's about 1 inch right there. And then it opened up again to 4 inches with the flyer. Down here, went back to the 62 grain. That's about just under 2 inches, 1 inch and 7/8, whatever you want to call that, right there with those 3 shots. The 55 grain actually closed up quite a bit here with the PMC X-Tac 55 grain at 1.5 inches. So that's, I think, the best that I got with the 55 grain stuff. Up here, I was shooting some Fusion 62 grain soft point. That was just over 2 inches, 2.25 inches right there. And then another group that I shot with it opened up a little bit more, top to bottom, with 3.25 inches total for that. Now, I obviously was shooting it more when I was zeroing it, but all said and done, I was actually pretty impressed. I believe my friend picked this up as one of PSA's daily deals for right around $200 for, again, the barreled upper with the handguard, and I believe it was an A2 flash hider. That's really not a bad price. And when you consider the accuracy I was able to get with it, again, I was very pleasantly surprised. Normally, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already. If I have, whatever. He has a Primary Arms Advanced Micro Dot on an ADM mount. Same exact setup I have on my BCM, if you've seen that review. I'm a huge fan of it, hence why he decided to go with that himself. And to me, a red dot is a much more reasonable thing to have on a 10.5 inch barrel. But again, I was wanting to push the accuracy of this thing, which again, I was very pleasantly surprised. So for the price, and for the fact that it's 10.5 inches, I was pretty happy. Now, again, with 10.5 inches, you're sacrificing a lot in velocity, so you're going to have a lot harder time reaching out really beyond 100 yards. And speaking of which, with shorter barrels, another issue that a lot of people have is keyholing, where the bullet is really destabilized and starts to kind of go end over end. One reason I wanted to show you the targets that I shot up close is, if you noticed, or if you want to go back, you can look at them again. They were nice, clean holes. There was no indication to me of keyholing, which is something I've experienced with my 7.5 inch barrel. Obviously, with 3 fewer inches, as less time to stabilize that bullet before it leaves the barrel, and with heavier, even 62 grain stuff, and heavier than that, I start experiencing some keyholing if you've seen some of my videos pertaining to that upper. All that said, not an issue with this. So again, I was fairly surprised. Again, I can't speak to the longevity of this upper or the reliability of this upper as time goes on, but I was, again, really satisfied with the accuracy. I would say consistently, I would be content to call this a, if you find the right ammo for it, a 2 MOA upper. I don't know how much more you can ask for than that with a 10.5 inch barrel, personally. Now, I wish I could tell you more specifics on this upper, but unfortunately, PSA didn't want to include a lot of the details on this. The only markings I can find on this barrel is that it's a 1 in 7, which I probably should have mentioned earlier, and that it's rated for 5.56 NATO. There's no manufacturer's markings, nothing like that, so I can't tell you who the maker of this barrel is. And again, if I've already mentioned this, I apologize, but PSA is always changing out their deals and how they set up their uppers. So when I looked back to see what it might have consisted of, I was unable to find anything really. So I'll do my best to give you the specs, but I can't make any promises as far as their solidity. One thing I also want to mention is I know someone else who's had a 10.5 inch key mod upper from PSA, and they had me install the exact same thing, the BCM CAG. Actually, I think they did the BCM vertical grip. Either way, I noticed on their upper, the key mod was not to spec. I had to literally pound on it with a hammer to get it to fully seat in position. And it wasn't just the lower rail, it was the entire way around. I tested it in different areas, and it refused to go on properly. This one, the key mod is totally in spec. It's not too loose, but it allows you to actually get it in there consistently without having to beat on it with a hammer, which is obviously a good thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case some others of you out there had heard that that was an issue. I did not have that experience with this upper, so that is a good thing. So all in all, for $200 for an upper, as long as you have your own bolt or charging handle, I would really have no issue telling you that to go pick one of these up. Again, I can't guarantee anything about reliability or longevity, but as far as accuracy goes, I can't ask for any more than what I got out of this. So if you'd like to see more with this upper in the future, let me know. I'll try to talk my buddy into letting me borrow it a little bit more often, now that I have a nice SBR lower to put it on. If you guys have any suggestions as far as keeping your paperwork with it, I've been keeping my copies of my tax stamp and trust and all that in the storage compartment here, but I can't get the cap on because it sticks so far out. So if you have other ideas on how to keep your paperwork with it, I know you don't have to, but it does make life a lot easier if you just can show someone who is giving you a hard time about it. If you have suggestions on how to carry your paperwork with you, I'm all ears, so please give me some of that. If you've watched this long, presumably you are a consistent watcher of my videos, so one thing you may hopefully notice is an improvement with lighting. I just got a new lighting kit that I invested in with some of my proceeds from YouTube, so hopefully that will fix any issues I have in the future with lighting. But let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions on how I can continue to improve my videos, again, I'm all ears. I want to put out good content. I want to put out stuff that's easy to watch and pleasant to watch. So please let me know if you have any suggestions. Throw those in the comment section below. But as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I appreciate you watching.